Welcome in to the Back Room, episode 27. I looked it up before we started, so I didn't have to just say the same line I say at the beginning of every one of these, because I hate driving things. Go back a few episodes and you'll see us talking about how we hate driving things. John Lunsford, Tyler Johns, Scott Forrester, Sean Rockstar Henniger here, and today on the Back Room, we're going to talk about our favorite celebrity encounters. Now, working in the industry we work in, we have met lots of celebrities through that, but we'll start, I guess you just want to go around and just say our favorite celebrity encounters. We'll start with Rocky, who's I'm sure had a plenty with the roundtable.
We'll do a one on show and one personal. On show, we had a bunch of comedians come in, and we were early in the morning. This morning we were from 6 to 10, and the comedian would usually come in. Usually they're doing a segment at the time, so he'd sit with me and in the control room and just kind of kill 10 minutes. And we've met a lot of them. One of the best ones was because I was obsessed with the show when I was younger. Still one of the first 2 or 3 seasons, funniest comedy, sitcoms, Roseanne. Tom Arnold came in, and super shy, super almost introspective, like into himself, like not talking like hey, how you doing? Like I try not to talk to him too much because it's early in the morning for a comedian that does not. They want to do this interview, go home and go to the hotel and go to bed. So we talked briefly, and he's just so like down. I was like, God, this guy, he just doesn't want to be here. But you could tell how tired he was. He had like just landed, and gets in the studio, and it's something that I'm always amazed by. Right when that on-air light went on, he became so energetic and so fascinating. Like he told one of the best stories. We had 2 segments with him because we couldn't get him to shut up. But he was super nice. Loved Tom Arnold. I mean, we've met Rob Schneider. That was a fun interview. So Rob Schneider's story. This happened. He was at Sirius XM for an interview. I cannot remember what show, and they kind of forgot about him, and they made him wait in the lobby for like an hour or 2 hours or something like that. And so it made national news that he was pissed, that he walked off. Like, you can't make somebody wait, like a feature guest, wait that long in the lobby. And I remember we were with Ian and Lance. We were downstairs at Jocks at the time. And we had that little teeny tiny kitchen you walked in, which was like a refrigerator and a sink and a little table. And he was sitting there, and I remember how small he was. And we had just started the show. And I was like, hey, Rob, how you doing? We're going to be about 10, 15 minutes. He goes, no. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. He's like, no, I'm not waiting. He's like, we either go now or I'm gone. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Because I'm sure that's what people say, like, hey, 10 more minutes. And so I was like, all right. So I just like let him in. They had just started the show. I mean, I don't know if it was football season or not. So they looked at me, and I was just like, get him in. Like, and we couldn't get him out. He's a huge San Francisco Giants fan. All he wanted to talk about was baseball. And I remember Lance like just looking at him because we tried to talk movies and Saturday Night Live, and he just wanted to talk sports. And the final one for me that was, I used to play at a hotel every Sunday, and I got to meet it was downtown Birmingham, and they had a lot of actors come in that would stay there because we were filming a lot of movies in the city at the time. And I was playing, and it was really close to the front desk, and I looked over, and I see Giancarlo Esposito, who's a bad guy in everything, in Star Wars, and Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul. I see him with what I think is his daughter, this little 8-year-old girl. And he's got a big cast on his leg. And he's tiny. I think that's the third person I said is tiny. But I never do this, but I approached him. All I said was like, I'm a huge fan. Thank you for what you do. And like I left him. I shook his hand. I left him alone. I didn't ask for a picture or anything, but he was very nice. So my final one, the personal that didn't have to do with the show, was Giancarlo Esposito. So super nice guy who plays super buttholes on film. Scott?
I've got a bunch of them, but I'll narrow it down. So here at the next round, it's got to be Charles Barkley. Being a big Aubie like I am, Auburn legend, NBA legend, but that guy is as cool as they come. Like he's no ego. He's just easy to talk to. He's so cool. Away from the show, the there haven't been many that have just been like I've been kind of intimidated to go up to, like back in my TV days. But there was one back. It was an Auburn at LSU game. I'm shooting some stuff pregame, and oh my God, Spike Lee is out here on the field, and
Do you have a jersey on?
I'll pull up a picture, but I do not remember what Spike was wearing. But me and my buddy Alan Baker, R.I.P. from Fox 6, we both, all right, we're going to ask Spike Lee for a picture because it's Spike Lee. And he absolutely, come on in, guys. And like that one was really cool. Yeah. Those would be a couple of my top 2 or top 3. Also Tim Anderson, my White Sox guy, who's apparently not going to be with the White Sox anymore. He's sports-wise, he's way up there too. I met him. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't met that many celebrities. Through here, my favorite meeting was probably Barkley. I had always wondered, this is going to sound stupid, but I had always wondered how people palm a basketball, and I shook Barkley's hand.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's how. They're massive. Yeah. Super nice guy, real fun to talk to. And then outside of work, I used to play soccer, and I went to a tournament in Nashville, and I don't know why, but Flava Flav from Public Enemy was staying at my
I can't
hotel.
just say Flava Flav from Public Enemy. Not Flava Flav.
Yeah.
Not
Not that
the
other one.
Flava
From Outback
Flav.
Steakhouse.
Anyway, I don't know what he was doing in Nashville. The only thing
probably didn't
notable,
either.
what?
He probably didn't either.
That's fair. The only thing
Brigitte
notable going on was the CMA Awards. I don't think he was hosting or anything like that. But yeah, I got to meet Flava Flav. He was wearing the clock too.
Of course he was. Like,
Right, yeah.
he can't go anywhere without it.
That's his thing.
That's his signature.
And then
Yeah.
my other one outside of work, I just went to a concert, got to meet the guys from City Morgue, and that was really cool, but also kind of weird because they were super spaced out. And I heard from some photographer friends that they had done a copious amount of whippets before the
good.
show, and we're just not
what
there.
city were they from?
They're from New York, but they were playing in Birmingham.
The New York City More? All right. Yeah. That was a joke. I assume that's a band.
Ah.
I don't know who they are, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know about y'all, but like every time a celebrity comes to anything, I'm like never want to take a picture with them. I never want to do anything because I always want to try to be either A, professional, or B, like I have this desire to be like I'm too cool to ever talk to like a celebrity. So like every time somebody comes here, I always stay in the back. I never come out and it's like, oh my God, you're so and so. Like, oh my God, it's Charles Barkley, which I've obviously Charles has done stuff forever between Jocks and here, but like oh my God, it's T.J. Miller. Oh my God, it's so and so. Like I don't ever like go up and like shake their hand. Maybe that's weird of me to be that way, but I just always am like I don't ever want to fan out like geek out over it because I've always been that way with sports people. Like.
Yep.
I mean, and I know you're the same way. Like, you've been on the field so many times. You've been around every athlete and coach and media member, like, on the planet that...
In fact, I've only asked for 2 pictures on a sideline ever. Spike Lee and Frank Thomas.
So say Daniel Cobb.
And, like, Frank Thomas, there's a reason you would do something like that. Like, there's a reason I could see you doing, like, a Bo Jackson, which I'm sure you've met plenty of times. Like, somebody like a Tim Anderson, somebody like a Cam Newton or somebody like that. Like, there's ties there. But, like, yeah, I've just never wanted to actually, like, so I feel like there's so many celebrities I could have met over the years that I have just absolutely just avoided at all costs for whatever reason, even though it would be cool to have a picture with them. Probably the one that stands out to me, and this is the most random thing, I was probably 4 or 5, but it's like the first real celebrity encounter I remember I had. I went to a Hawks-Cavs game over at the Omni back in the day in Atlanta, and my dad took me to meet Larry Nance, like Larry Nance Sr.
Pull his socks up. I remember
playing for the
Yeah,
Cavs
yep.
because he's involved in racing and my dad's involved in racing, and so like there was a connection there. And so I got to go, and I still have an autographed basketball from back then that he like signed a basketball for me. And it's one of those like random prized possessions I have, and it's like, why do you have a Larry Nance basketball? Not Larry Nance Jr., who's playing in the league, but like Larry Nance Sr. And really no rhyme or reason other than it's just like, hey, it's cool to meet, a professional athlete. Like, and it was at Atlanta, but he was playing for Cleveland at the time, and still came up and like shook my hand. And that's one of those things you talk about, shaking somebody's hand when you're like a little 4 or 5 year old, and like big NBA player comes up and shakes your hand.
Well,
you realize
the difference is I was 24 when
it's still that way compared to most of them. I have, I think, decent sized hands, but like some of these professional athletes, you shake their hand and it's like, oh my God.
They're not human.
Yeah, they are not human. Then probably like, this is the most random, but probably the one from work that I remember the most was a lot of times we would get WWE people coming in to the station to like, promote when Raw was here or SmackDown or whatever. They would make the TV rounds and they go make the radio rounds and everything. A lot of times they would be on Jocks.
Did you get to meet Mick Foley when he was here?
I did not get to meet Mick Foley.
We had a phone interview with him, and he was.
He was here in studio, like
Yeah.
Yeah, he was here. He was here on
You're making a
Halloween.
joke. Yeah, no, I wasn't here. I mean, you notice I wasn't here when all that was going on. No, I would love to meet Mick Foley though. There's some people, it's more than just meeting. Like, I'd love to like sit down and talk to Mick Foley. Like, that's somebody I feel like you can sit down and have a good conversation with. But, and this is the most random person, I didn't even care for this person. And I don't even think they wrestle anymore. They made in some smaller independent stuff. But there's a wrestler by the name of Ryback who came to promote SmackDown Raw, one of them. There's so many other big wrestlers that have been here, but he came in, and for some reason, like, I was in the lobby as he was leaving, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody at work said, hey, let's take a picture, because like we never took a picture of him here, like doing whatever he was doing, so like take a picture. So I took a picture with him, and I looked at the picture, and I realized like I was like a foot taller than he was. Like, I was so much bigger. His whole gimmick was like he was like the big guy, and like he was gonna eat everybody and everything, and like
So wrestling misled you.
and it's like I'm so much, but like you think wrestlers are like, jacked and huge. I mean, and he was, jacked like muscle wise, but he wasn't like big at all. But his whole thing was being like the big guy. And I stood next to him, and I have it on my Instagram. It's like the big guy and Ryback, because it's like this dude's actually tiny compared to me. Like when you see NBA players, it's like I get it. You look at them, and then you see a wrestler. It's like I don't know about that one. And I'm sure if I stood next to Brock Lesnar or something, it would be. And I mean, I play sports. I'm taller than a lot of people, so I get I kind of fit that a little more, but. Like, I'm sure some of the people I would feel that way, but like, yeah, I met with Ryback and I was like, he's kind of small, actually, kind of tiny. But like, yeah, I don't know. There's just so many that I avoid like to play. Like, there was one time I sat on a plane next to Kristen Davis from Sex and the City, who plays Charlotte on Sex and the City, and avoided it like the plague. Like, I had a chance to meet and talk and everything, avoided it like the plague. Like, there's so many people in sports, like, I have never wanted to say a word to Nick Saban, even though I've been around Nick Saban a million times. Like, being an Alabama person, I went to Talladega with I took a class with Lars Anderson at Alabama. He took us to Talladega to specifically talk and meet every driver that was there. And I'm obsessed with Dale Jr., but like when it came down to Dale Jr., it's like, hey, and walk off. And that was it. I didn't get a picture or anything. And like, I regret not doing that, but like, I don't know. To me, celebrity encounters are just. Well, I don't want to. Because it's like I work in media. I don't want to be like, oh my God.
Well, that's to be. What I've learned from meeting all these people is, they don't want to talk about. Charles Barkley. When you see him, I don't think the first thing he wants to talk to you about is Auburn basketball and what do you think the Raiders are going to do this weekend, because he gets that so much. You just talk to him about regular things. It's that these celebrities are people too, and you see a musician. They don't want to hear yes, they want to hear you're a big influence on me or something like that. But like, hey, talk to me about this song or something like that. Like, talk to me about this movie. And it's hard. And there's only one. It's hard to get me starstruck, where I was speechless. And it's the randomest one. I got one of my heroes is Louis C.K. I got to meet him. I was fine talking to him. Super shy guy. One guy we had in studio. He was at the Comedy Club. And he was a hero of one of my favorite films of all time. And I had gone in the studio during the commercial break to kind of talk to him, and I could not muster a word. And I found myself staring at him, just kind of soaking him in. I think Lance was talking to him off air about something, and I'm just kind of I didn't know it. And so he looked at me, And it's like, what are you looking at? And I just said, Butthead. It was Tom Wilson, Biff from Back to the Future. That somebody like that, and I made him kind of like, oh, that was a pretty good one, like something like that. But like just something like because I felt like, oh my God, I'm staring at him. Like just somebody like that that had me starstruck. Just something, because if it's something from your childhood, that's different. But like a hero, Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam is a huge hero of mine. We went to Boston to see them in 2018 at Fenway, and we had access to this VIP section that was, I don't know, where they cater for the big wigs of the Red Sox or something like that, and they had catered food and everything. And I'm walking around, and there's Daniel. I don't know his last name, but I've been friends with him because he's a huge Pearl Jam fan. He is the bassist for Group Love, and he is a massive. McLovin was there.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a huge Pearl Jam fan. And I look around and I see this guy sitting by himself with blonde hair. Danny Clinch. He's a huge photographer. The picture of Tupac that Lance did, Danny Clinch took that picture. He's taken a ton of pictures, as you've seen. He was there because he's a huge Pearl Jam fan. And this blonde guy with glasses was sitting, kind of looked like Garth from Wayne's World, was sitting by himself. And we're in Boston. I'm like, holy hell, that's the bassist to Aerosmith. Don't know his name. But I go and just shake his hand, and like that's all. I just say, nice to meet you. I don't try to sit with him. I don't try to talk Aerosmith or what's Steven Tyler like. Shook his hand. That's it. And then, but that stuff. And then I finally met after the show. Jeff Ament was backstage on this little VIP because that was the end of the tour. And Jason, the guy that supplied the tickets, was like, "Oh no, you're going to be a fanboy." I was like, "I'm really not." Like I went up and Jason, let me take a picture with you. I was like, "Okay, I'll take a picture with him," but I talked to him, and he best thing. That's the way I'll end it. In 2012, this is 2018. In 2012, I had the opportunity to interview Jeff Ament for, they were doing the Luna Fest in Pensacola. And I interviewed him, and I thought I offended him with some songs, on some questions. And we texted back and forth a little bit, and that was that. If you know Pearl Jam, Eddie and Jeff, they collect everything. They know everything about their careers and everything. So it really made me smile that I shook his hand. I was like, Jeff, my name's Sean. He's like, from Birmingham. And I was like, that's it. And we took a picture and everything. Didn't talk to him about really anything else. They had to leave because they were closing everything down. But like, I got a picture taken with him. But some celebrity encounters. But that didn't starstruck me. Biff from Back to the Future did. So that's why. It's all who you're a kid who you're just obsessed with, because like that's not these people are inaccessible because they're on a box that you're watching. So if I met Paul Rubens, I would have died. Like that's what Paul Rubens, like, because the kid in me, I don't know. So
he's not a real person. Like
I know, but like just you mean Paul, just knowing who he was.
He was here today. Did you not meet him?
Yeah. He's a good guy. He's hilarious, but he's gained some weight. But stuff like that, it's just stuff that I think personally, things that you were obsessed with as a kid. Personally, I think that would have affected me more than me meeting a hero of mine today. Like if Harrison Ford walked in, I wouldn't be as starstruck as I would if Paul Rubens walked in. It's crazy.
The only other one that I have, unless people still have ones I want to get to, the only other one I have is, it sounds weird, it's not really a celebrity here, but like for my honeymoon, my wife and I went to California, and so we spent a little bit of time like in Palm Springs, LA, like Southern California, and then I rented a car and we drove up, long ass drive, I wouldn't recommend it, drove up to San Francisco and went to a 49ers game, went to like a Sharks game, spent some time up there, exploring Northern California. And when we were going to the 49ers game, San Francisco, did you ever go to out there for the championships?
I did.
San Francisco itself is like an hour from going to the stadium.
Not close.
Yeah, so it's like we got to get to the stadium, so we just took an Uber. It's an hour-long Uber ride. It's expensive as hell, but like you got to get there somehow. And so so we took an Uber from our hotel downtown to Levi Stadium. And we had this guy, and he was Asian of some sort, couldn't really tell. And he drove us. And then we got there. He's like, hey, here's my card. Just call me when you're done, and I'll give you just give you a ride back. You don't have to go through the app or whatever. That way, when you pay less, whatever. We're like, yeah, okay, sure. So we called him on the way. And so on the way back, he drove us. And so because we had this guy's like phone number and everything, I guess he wanted to make it more personal. He's like, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And of course, this guy could capture us and take us to, basement somewhere. We don't know, but it was like, oh, we're from Birmingham, so we're on a honeymoon. We just got married. And he's like, cool. He's like, yeah, I'm not from here either. I'm from Malaysia. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. What? How'd you end up in San Francisco? Are you like a tech person or what? And he's like, yeah. So I tried to make it in music over in Malaysia. My parents said I need to get a real job. Told me to go over to America, like try to get a tech job or whatever. And he's like, I hate it. I absolutely don't want to do it. I didn't want to get a real job. So this is how I'm making ends meet while I'm over here. But I have a record deal waiting on me when I go back, but I can't do anything from here. So I'm just making some money and basically running out the clock on my parents so that then I can go back to Malaysia. And we're like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, like I'm a huge pop star over there. Like I'm going to be huge. And it's like, sure, dude, every, person out there thinks, oh, I'm going to be big, And so it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's like, here's my card. Here's my, his name. I guess you say it, Suryoja is his name. And so I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So then he sends me a friend request on Facebook. And I accept it. And I look at it. And then I realize he has a fan page on Facebook that has like millions of people that follow it. Turns out about 2 weeks later, he went back to Malaysia, hit his record deal, became absolutely huge over in Malaysia. Of course, I can't understand a word in any of his songs, but he has like these insane music videos he does, and he has tons and tons and tons of followers, and is like, I'm not going to put him like on Taylor Swift level, but he's like that over in Malaysia, and is absolutely huge. And every time he pops up on my Facebook page all the time, and then I always have to show my wife, it's like, that's that guy that gave us an Uber ride one time. Like he actually made it over there. Like, I mean, it's the kind of thing that would never work over here because it's not, I feel like K-pop hits over here, but like most other like foreign stuff doesn't really hit over here. And so it's like, it'll never make it here, but over there he is like a god among like celebrities and stuff like that. That it's like, you never even know where you're going to potentially meet one of those Uber drivers that actually does take off and become, something. So, but anyway, that's just kind of, whenever people talk about celebrities, that's a random one that always pops in my head, even though nobody knows who it is, which is kind of the opposite of being a celebrity. But anyway, this has been The Back Room.
Thanks.
I'm John.
John.
Rocky. Tyler. Scott.
Scott.
Bye.
See ya.
End it.